If we talk about private individuals financing a venture, we also have to talk about crowdfunding, since this is a new development that became very, very popular in the recent years. So what is crowdfunding in general? Actually, it is a crowd financing an idea, an entrepreneur, a charity project, whatever. So funding is, so the one thing is the crowd and the second thing is the funding. That's crowdfunding. New initiative, it's raising money by entrepreneurs, by various people, also actors for the charity, and they put the money together to realize it. Also movies are being financed by crowdfunding. There are many platforms for crowdfunding nowadays. I think the most popular one is the crowdfunder over here, and I think even more popular is Kickstarter. You can't read that. So these are just examples for platform. This is Investment is one of the platforms we founded in 2011, which was really some time ago, which is a special segment for crowdfunding, equity-based. I'll get to differentiate the various forms of crowdfunding in a minute. So even if you are interested in putting money into a project or a company, and you can start with small amounts like $10 or $100, you can do it via all these platforms which are out there. And there are really, really interesting or very popular auctions or crowdfunding campaigns, I have to put it like this. And one is the Pebble Watch. I mean, I'm not sure whether it's successful in terms of the watch. That's a different story. But the crowdfunding campaign was just phenomenal. They really financed lots of money. They only had a $100,000 goal, but they raised more than 10 million for the Pebble Watch. I think they weren't able to supply that, but that's a different story. Or the micro console we can see over here, which I don't have, but many people in my surroundings have. I think they are both bankrupt right now. I'm not sure about it, but they also raised lots of money in a very small amount of time. And even something like the so-called Tesla Museum. It's not a car museum of Tesla. It's a museum for Nikola Tesla, who used to be a very, very important researcher, and Oatmeal raised over $1 million to make a museum for him. I think that's what it says. It raised 1.3 million in only 9 days to realize that museum. And now you can see there's a variety. There's a museum, and there's a watch, and there's a different way of bringing crowdfunding campaigns to the crowd. And some people say this is a new way of financing companies, financing projects, financing ideas, financing interesting things. It could be the most disruptive of all new models in finance. Actually, we'll see. It's not really disrupting everything, but if you look at the numbers are going up, as you can see over here. And I think there are some tendencies that push that the numbers are going up. First of all, there are more and more use cases for crowdfunding out there. So it evolved from a donation and charity fundraising platform to rewards, to equity investment. So everyone also with small amounts can do equity investments. And that's funny for some people. And this is the second point. This is the changing consumer behavior. People want to be part of new ideas, new things. They want to be the first to finance a Pebble Watch, to get a Pebble Watch, and so on. And this also pushes, I think, crowdfunding. And this is also why there is a growth potential, which is going viral in many cases. People see new campaigns, and people love these campaigns, and they send it to their friends, and this is immediately going viral, as you can see with the examples before. There's strong networks effects because if the crowd is actually registered at platforms, they benefit from the network, but they also play a role in that network, so they're pushes. And the regulation allows crowdfunding to work on these things. So it's a viable way of financing projects, donations, and also companies. But did it really be disruptive so far? Probably not, even if you look at the numbers. I think there has to be research being done in this field, since not all the platforms, and we had our own experience with our investment platform, work out well. And our business model, for example, wasn't good enough to really expand the platform. And I think one of these questions which we have to solve in the future is which is the right business model, for example, for equity-based crowdfunding. Having said that, I'm going over to the different categories of crowdfunding, and this is what normally the people have to keep in mind. So the first one, if you really want to finance your own company, equity-based, like AngelList or investment, is a platform to put money into new companies, get shares from new companies. I think the main challenge there is to find the right business model. Is it the right thing for you? Maybe this is also a good question. As a startup CFO, should you get money from the crowd? Well, it's the same discussion with family and friends money. So you don't take it from friends, so you don't really like affect your relationship to your private life. That's an advantage. So you take it from the crowd. If your company goes bankrupt, that's not necessarily that bad if compared to losing friends. On the other hand, is there really value the crowd can add? And in most cases, it's not. So I would never do that on a standalone basis. I would always start with angels, try to get their informal help, and maybe complement financing through the crowd. This is my opinion on that. And but still, we need to understand that a little more. The second thing is donation based. So you donate money for charity, and you might get a T-shirt, you might just get nothing, and you do charity basically. And it's charity projects that you put your donations in. The third thing is landing base. So Pebble is the example of landing base. You invest in Pebble, you give them money, and they use the money to develop the watch, and then they send you the watch. Actually, basically, from the startup CFO perspective, you reduce the working capital for you, since you get the money initially, and then you can work with the money to do your developments. And last but not least is reward based. So I said that movies are reward based in crowdfunding. Also, German movies are being crowdfunded by crowds in a reward based manner. This is the fourth element, and I think it's probably, I don't know if it's going to be disruptive, but I think it's going to change the way people will finance ideas and businesses. Because if you have more access to money, if you just go to a platform, you put your movie there, and you might get your movie financed. And that was not possible 10 years ago, or when the platforms weren't alive in that way. And this is why I also do think it's a way of financing businesses, ideas, projects, and so on. You only get the money, you won't get the help, and for most of the platforms, it's still important to find the right business model. If this is going to be the case, this is probably taking up and might change the world of entrepreneurial finance.